So on to the main topics. So the first one we got for you is Xbox and Kojima. So, before we had mentioned that, there was like some possible discussions going on of maybe like an exclusive title or something like that Kojima Productions would be doing for Xbox. And it looks like that rumor is still continuing and that their talks are still continuing, but they are very close to getting signed. So that's interesting. I know you had some thoughts about Kojima and Xbox, getting together. So what do you got?
The question here is, we don't really know the nature of this deal, right? We know that they're getting close to a deal. We know that it says here, they're beginning to prepare what Kojima will need for his next game. Right, they've hired a veteran developer. Some extra
studios at him.
They hired an extra developer, Kim Swift, to work on who has worked on games like Portal and Left 4 Dead, to help him develop his next game. So this seems very big to me. It makes me think like it can't be buying him, right? Like it can't be like they're about to buy his studio. I think Kojima needs way more freedom than that.
Yeah,
but is this more than just like a one game thing?
I don't think he would also sell himself after what had happened with Capcom and whatnot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's done with that, right? He's done being owned.
Yeah, him parting ways with Capcom.
He's done
I think
being
he's ready to just be Kojima Studios. It's got your name.
Or was Konami? I think it was Konami. Was it Konami he was under? Might have been Konami.
Maybe it was a Konami.
Yeah.
Let me see.
You can find out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're right. I think he's done being owned. He's done being controlled. He's done having his creativity in his mind stifled. And you can see that with Death Stranding. He went out there, dude. Like, he definitely did not go the conventional route when he made Death Stranding. Because if you look at a game like Metal Gear Solid, he did some weird and wacky things like with the storytelling, but it still felt very traditional.
Yeah.
But Death Stranding did it. Death Stranding was like its own thing.
It was like its own freaking genre at that point.
Yeah, it was like its own
totally
genre,
changed.
like walking sim. Like, I don't know.
It was Konami.
Okay, so yeah, he was owned by Konami. Yeah, so he parted ways with Konami, and I think you're right. He does not want to be strapped down again. So this is probably a one game off. But what's a trip is he's always been so close with Sony.
Yeah.
What does this say about Sony? What happened between Kojima and Sony that he would even want to listen to? I mean, of course, Xbox has that golden goose, and they can just basically give whatever he asked. No, just they have a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
Xbox they could just write whatever they want. They could just throw massive amounts of money around. But he was such a close relationship with Sony that this is bizarre to me that he would betray, or I don't know what the right word is, walk away from that relationship and start something new with Xbox.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's like... So, him deciding, right, like... because as you stated before, we don't know what the contract is for, like their agreement. We don't know if it's like a couple of games, if it's one game, if it's like, hey, I'm joining your team to just give you nothing but exclusives. What, you know what I mean? If it's like, I'm going to make a game and you get a timed exclusive, and then it'll eventually come to the PC or the PlayStation or whatever. We don't know what it is, but I don't think Kojima is just done from making games for PlayStation, right? If he's still putting the time to update Death Stranding and give new stuff for that, you know what I mean? I think that he'll still be working with
Sony?
With Sony.
Yeah,
I feel like it's kind of like a James Gunn type of thing. You know what I mean? Like
one for you, one for you.
Marvel's fired James Gunn because of what he had tweeted a long time ago or whatever. And then they realized, oh shit, we made a mistake. We want him back. But as soon as he got fired, DC was on him. You know what I mean? Like, hey, let's pick you up, do some movies. So he's like, he already signed a contract to do like 2 or 3 movies. So he's gonna do them, but he's going back to Marvel. So it's like he's gonna have movies in both areas.
Yeah. See, some people
of the competition at that
are suggesting that he's playing both sides, right? Like He's going to make a game for Microsoft. He's going to make a game for Sony. And he's just adding this. But I wonder how big his studio is. So partly is why I think this is like, how big is his studio to handle projects like this?
Well, you also got to think how much time in between each of his games does he take? You know what I mean?
Right, which is why can he afford to produce 2 games for 2 separate studios in a timely manner? Which is why part of me thinks like he's taking each game one step at a time, and he's going to produce it one step at a time. So it's like this last game he did with Sony, this next game he's doing with Microsoft. Maybe the next game he goes back to Sony. Who knows what happens?
And didn't on this E3 conference, didn't he have something that he was already working on currently?
Everyone is talking about Silent Hill.
Right.
So I think here's what some of the rumors are.
Is Silent Hill a game that's on both consoles? I can't remember.
In the past it had been.
Okay.
But there's been rumors that Kojima wants to do this kind of like this episodic thing where like it's released in episodes and parts.
So you would have
like
to stay tuned
kind of
for
thing.
the next one.
Maybe not written like a Telltale, but episodic like Telltale is episodic.
Yeah, right.
I don't know how popular that is amongst gamers right now. I think gamers really want like a full fleshed out game and not wait episodically
for a story to finish
up. Telltale are kind of like, they're good games, but they're not like adored by the community. They're very like highly praised by like critics and stuff, but they're not games that people just jump on board to play.
They were also ones that you would just wait until the whole season was out.
And you would wait till the whole season was out. You're right. Yeah. Exactly.
You would just get it as a collection of one from the PlayStation Store or whatever, and then just play it all.
So my train of thought here is like, Death Stranding wasn't necessarily the most successful game as far as like the average gamer. Like if you look at Metacritic, Death Stranding had an 82 from Metacritic, but only 7.3 from users. So that's like almost a full point. It went from good to mixed.
Yeah.
Went from good from the critics and mixed by users. And I think mixed is exactly what this game is. Like it's totally mixed by users. Like some users love it, some users hate it. When I finally saw what it was, it turned me off from wanting to play it when I had been excited to play it.
Yeah, I mean, once we were seeing like all of the footage and stuff like that of dude walking around out in like the wild,
just
and
walking.
It's like invisible creatures and the little baby, and you're like, dude, this is weird. Like, what is this? Like, I'm interested. Exactly. And then when you find out it's just a package delivering simulator,
basically,
it's just like,
I didn't expect that.
What the hell is this? I don't want to deliver packages the whole game. Like, I mean, there's people who played it.
That shocked me,
just
like it shocked you. But like, I never would have guessed that is what it would turn out to be.
Yeah.
In my wildest dreams, I would have never even guessed that.
So like, when you look at it in hindsight of things, right? Like, if you stand back, like Hideo Kojima games are like weird as fuck. Like, they're lots of weird shit in them. Like, but Metal Gear Solid was like on the top. It was like a straightforward game, you know what I mean? Like, you're this guy Snake and you got a mission or whatever. But there was so much stuff underneath that was just like, what the hell is going on? Why is this like flaming, like burning guy like chasing after me? Like, why is this like, where did this turn? You know what I mean? Like, you hit a certain point in the game, like after like 20 minutes, and then the game totally changes, and you're like, what the hell is this? This doesn't seem like the same game I've been playing, you know? It's like all weird. You know, so it's just like his mind is like in a whole different area, and for him to come up with something that's like, oh, I want to make a UPS game, but I want to make it riveting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes you wonder who was like at the development table when he was pitching that to his team. Yeah. Right? Because he kept that under wraps. None of us knew it was going to be a UPS game.
I wish that they would just record his pitches when he's bringing up these games to these people to see what they're thinking of.
Yeah, like he goes to the board, he writes FedEx, creatures, and a baby.
Invisible creatures.
And you're like, the fuck is that? Something is going on there in that guy's mind where he's bringing all those together. But the thing is, like, I think Sony was maybe potentially a little turned off by Death Stranding.
Maybe.
Because I think they gave him... I think that was partly the reason why he went with Sony, because like they told him, dude, you have total control. You do whatever the heck you want to do. We'll give you whatever resources you need.
I think
we'll
that
publish
was
this game.
I mean, that was the whole reason why he left Konami, right?
Right,
Because
was for
he was
freedom.
able to take his productions and branch off and do his own thing. So he's like, hey, Konami, like, we have issues. Like, I can't get my creative genius out. So, like, I'm going to go.
I'm out. I'm parting ways.
Yeah. And that's it. And he created, he did his own thing. And this is like for him to show his credit. He opened his own shoe company and he made his own sneakers to do crazy frilly fruit, whatever, all over it. You know what I mean? But
I don't think anyone knew how crazy he'd be. Because it is weird.
Because that was the first one by himself.
Right. It
And
was
then
a
you
whole
got
other.
that.
It was on a whole nother level. And I mean, I'm not knocking it. I know people love it.
Yeah.
I may even play it someday. But I'm just saying, I
If
don't think
it's free.
anyone expected it.
If they gave it
Yeah,
to us
I
straight
expect
for
a
PS Plus,
Game
I'd
Pass.
try
I mean, a PS Plus at some point in time, I can expect that.
Yeah.
But you just see like the contrast. Metal Gear Solid was scored at 95 on Metacritic. Death Stranding scored an 82. So you see like a major contrast of difference. And I think part of that is just because of he got total control. He didn't have anyone telling him to leave any conventions in, where Metal Gear Solid still had some of the conventions, like you were saying. There's those conventions there.
Right.
And then this one had like none of them. And you see what he can do when you take the training wheels completely off. And it's like, whoa, this is a little bit weird. And I think that he pitched that episodic kind of, this is my vision, my episodic horror story that everyone's waiting for. And Sony was like, hold off. Can we just build like a Resident Evil type game? Just, produce a game, that's complete and finished and full. And I can see Kojima going, get out of here. I want to do what I want to do. I'm not being controlled. And him going to the next buyer. And Microsoft going, we don't care. Here's the money. We just want you. And
Or I could just see that, somehow dude was able to get a hold of him from Xbox and be like, hey man, I want to talk to you about, a possible game, some possible game ideas that, you could probably bring, here, maybe an exclusive deal would pay you a lot up front, maybe give you some extra hands to do this.
yeah, who knows who reached out first,
there,
right? Right.
Yeah,
like who knows who reached out first.
Yeah, because I could see Phil trying to talk to Hideo and just be like, hey man, like we'll give you whatever you need. Just give us like
Totally.
1 or 2 exclusives. We'll sign a contract, but we'll give you the hands that you need. You direct it. You know what I mean? You in charge of all of that, and just produce us something. I know you working on this over here, but do that. But like, give us this over here, and we'll give you the people to be able to do that. All you got to do is give the ideas, and they'll.
I
they'll
totally
create it.
think that
I definitely can see it.
Kojima. I totally think Microsoft is pitching them. You have total control and freedom, and that's what Kojima wants to hear, and that's what Kojima will sign.
Right.
And so it's going to be something along those lines. But I do think it's like we said earlier, project to project. I don't think this is like they're buying him up.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, give us a project, and we'll pay for it.
Right.
Whatever you need, because he
Yeah.
does not want to be tied
I
up.
still think he's freelancing. I think he's out there
I
for
think
all
you're
of
right.
the consoles.
Yeah, I think he's
if
freelancing.
possible.
Yeah, I think he's freelancing. He's a mercenary, right?
It would be interesting
gun
if we
for
could
hire.
see him do something for the Switch.
Who
again,
knows?
for
That could be
Nintendo or
next,
something.
right? That could be next. But he's got to be careful, because if he keeps producing divisive games like Death Stranding,
Mm-hmm.
his name could start to take a little bit of a dive, right? And people may
Maybe.
not be so willing to give him everything he wants. Because right now people are willing to give him everything he wants, like he's LeBron James, But it's like, if he keeps being as divisive with these game releases that are just like totally bizarre and out there, and only half the community really likes them, then that could really hurt his stock, his value,
Yeah.
and he may need to just take some direction again.
Yeah. But so that's it for that topic.